Williams just admitted something no F1 team ever wants to say out loud. Their brand new FW48 wasn't ready. They missed preseason testing, skipped Barcelona entirely, and now we know why. The real reason? The car is 3 times more complex than anything they've ever built. Engineers couldn't finish it in time. Spare parts didn't arrive. And the scariest part? They still don't know if it's under the minimum weight. No one else dared to skip testing. But Williams had no choice. And if this backfires, they could miss the season opener. Stick around, because what they revealed today might be the biggest gamble in the team's modern history. From the outside, it looked like just another car launch. Smooth live stream, new livery, smiling drivers, a few corporate lines about pushing boundaries and unlocking performance. But behind the PR polish was something very different. Because as every other team packed up from Barcelona with hundreds of laps in the bank, Williams had nothing. No mileage, no performance data, not a single wheel turned on real asphalt. And now we know why. They didn't miss testing because of weather. They didn't hold back for strategy. They missed it because the car wasn't ready. Not even close. Team principal James Vowles finally told the truth. And once you hear what he said, you realize how serious this is. The FW48 is about 3 times more complex than what we've built before. Let that sink in. 3 times. Not marginally harder. Not slightly delayed. 3 times more difficult. And that level of complexity? It came with a price. Williams built a car so advanced, so aggressive, that the factory simply couldn't keep up. Parts were delayed. Systems were unfinished. And key components were still being assembled after the test in Barcelona had already begun. This wasn't just a delay. It was a crisis. While fans and media speculated about a secret launch plan, about clever strategy, about holding cards close to the chest, the truth was much simpler. And much scarier. Williams didn't have enough parts. Literally. If they had shown up in Barcelona and something broke, a wing, a suspension arm, a gearbox housing, they had no backup. And if the FW48 suffered a crash, even a small one, the season might have been over before it started. James Vowles confirmed it himself. There were risks involved. Testing would have depleted our stock of components. We weren't ready to absorb that. In Formula 1, that is unheard of. Teams live for testing. They fight to squeeze every lap out of every hour. But Williams had to step back, look at the reality, and say, we're not going. Not because they wanted to hold secrets, but because the car was too fragile to test. The scariest part? This was all happening just 1 month before Bahrain. No data, no shakedown, no answers, just hope, and a car that, at that moment, was still a complete unknown. In Formula 1, weight is everything. Too heavy? You lose time in every corner. You burn tires faster. You give away tenths on every lap that you'll never get back. And right now, no one knows how heavy the FW48 really is. When asked directly, James Vowles gave a measured answer. We'll find out the final weight in Bahrain. Translation? They're not confident. And when a team doesn't confirm weight after a launch, it usually means they're in trouble. The whispers have already started. Some insiders suggest the FW48 could be 10, 20, even 30 kilos over the minimum weight limit. 30 kilos. That's more than half a second per lap, gone, before the race even starts. And if they're carrying extra weight, that's not something you fix in one upgrade. It's baked into the chassis. It's in the structure. It's in the packaging of components that were rushed just to meet a minimum deadline. Now here's where it gets worse. The FW48 has never turned a single competitive lap. Not in Barcelona. Not in private. So when it finally hits the track in Bahrain, they won't just be figuring out setup. They'll be figuring out if they can even compete. Because if this car is overweight, every strategy goes out the window. Every hope for points becomes survival. And a single qualifying session could expose the truth. They've been trying so hard not to say. When you can't test on track, you have to create the next best thing. And for Williams, that meant running the FW48 in a fully virtual environment. Through a system called VTT, Virtual Track Testing. This wasn't a casual simulator. This was a complete, hardware-integrated, multi-system stress simulation, designed to find mechanical weaknesses before they appear on a real circuit. Engine loads, suspension dynamics, aerodynamic fluctuations at full speed. All of it, done in a room. And according to James Vowles, it worked. We removed a number of demons that we would have only found by running the car in real life. But here's the catch. No simulation is perfect. No virtual model can recreate tire wear at 50 degrees in Bahrain. No code can fully mimic carbon stress over curbs. And no test rig can predict what happens when a real driver hits turn 4 at full tilt with dirty air in his face. So while VTT helped buy time, it didn't guarantee survival. Williams still hasn't seen what this car does. After 20 laps in the heat, with wind, with traffic, with fuel load drop-off, they're relying on code, models, and best-case assumptions. And now, they have just one filming day, 200 kilometers, to find out if the car they built in silence can hold together under pressure. Because if it doesn't, they won't just be late to Bahrain, they'll be exposed. Let's be clear, no team wants to skip testing. No team chooses to show up late, but Williams did. And the reason is simple. They're betting everything on the long game. Instead of burning resources to make a crash-ready car in January, they pushed development as far as they could, even if that meant showing up to testing with zero data. And now, with just 2 official tests left before lights out in Bahrain, that bet is about to be tested. If the FW48 is overweight, they'll bleed time on every lap. If the aero package is unstable, they'll shred their tires. If the hybrid deployment system misfires under load, they'll be overtaken before they hit the second straight. But here's the twist. If they're right, if the virtual testing was accurate, if the car really is 3 times more complex and 3 times more capable, then they won't just catch up. They'll leap forward. Because the teams that played it safe are already reaching the ceiling of their launch spec. Williams still has headroom, still has updates, still has performance that hasn't even been seen yet. This is the ultimate gamble. Skip the test, miss the headlines, arrive late, but arrive with something nobody expected. And if it works, people won't call it reckless. They'll call it genius. Williams is not just another backmarker anymore. They have leadership, they have direction, and for the first time in years, they've taken a risk, a real one. They could have played it safe, copied the grid, brought a simple car, banked some laps, and survived the season. But they didn't. They built something bigger, more aggressive, more advanced than anything they've ever attempted. And the price of that decision was everything. They gave up Barcelona. They gave up media coverage. They gave up the comfort of predictability. Because they believed, deep down, that the only way to move forward was to do what no one else would. And now, it's all or nothing. If the FW48 fails, they'll be questioned, criticized, mocked. But if it delivers, if it holds together in Bahrain, if the pace is there, if the car responds the way the simulation said it would, then this won't be a story about a team that showed up late. It'll be the moment Williams came back to life. For more than a decade, Williams has lived in the shadow of its past. Championships with Mansell, victories with Hill, domination with Prost, legacy with Senna. But year after year, those memories felt more like weight than motivation. The budget cap era was supposed to help level the playing field, give teams like Williams a chance to fight again. And yet, every season, they were still fighting for Q2, still watching the points disappear in the rearview. But this season feels different. Not because they're guaranteed anything, but because they're finally willing to risk everything. They stopped chasing respect and started chasing relevance. They built a car that might not survive the opening weekend. But if it does, it could rewrite the story of a team that's been waiting far too long for a reason to believe again. So when the FW48 rolls out of the garage in Bahrain, and the world watches with doubt, with questions, with quiet judgment, there will be only one question that matters. Not will it work? But what if it does? Because if this gamble pays off, if Williams finally gets it right, then this won't just be a comeback. It'll be a resurrection. And the grid won't be ready.